What is up, Whale fam? Thank you for tuning in. Nytmare here, and this is Whale FM's Fireside Chat with Artists. In this show, we talk about everything and anything art and crypto in the NFT scene with designers and creators alike, otherwise known as non-fungible tokens. My guest today is Tommy Wilson, a professional baseball player in the New York Mets organization. He began creating art on the side and used his free time during COVID to exercise that passion. Tommy, thank you so much for coming on and speaking with the Whale community today.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
First of all, I'm super stoked because just at the onset, you have Pedro here, one of my, absolute favorite baseball players ever. The guy is a legend, and really interested to hear some of your insights coming from like a sports background.
Totally.
And being kind of new to the NFT scene. A lot of times we have people here who've been entrenched, and so it'll be great to get that new perspective. But before we even get there, it's pretty fascinating, your journey and how you ended up here. So could you just give us kind of a walk through your journey, both like, coming up in baseball and then eventually art?
Sure. Okay, so baseball first. Man, I mean, baseball's been my entire life since I was like 5-6 years old. My parents got me into it just to have like an extracurricular activity to do. And then I started getting good at it. And let's see. Yeah, I played through high school in Southern California, got a college scholarship, got drafted in 2018 to the New York Mets. And let's see. And then now I'm here about three seasons later, still working my way up the system, and yeah, that's pretty much kind of how the whole baseball thing's gone. But let's see, as far as NFTs go, I discovered them in like April or May. I don't know if you've heard of, I mean, I'm sure everybody's heard of Micah Johnson, but he's also a former Major League Baseball player. But I helped him out on like an animation back in like May or June, I think, and it turned out it was for an NFT or for a drop of his, and then that's kind of how I discovered it, and that was 8-9 months ago now, and been down the rabbit hole ever since.
So I think I've heard you talk about this before a little bit, but baseball, was that something you were passionate about always, or was just kind of something you were good at and kind of progressed?
Yeah, so I didn't like it at first because I wasn't like I didn't enjoy like the team aspect. I wasn't like I was a pretty shy kid. So it took a little warming up. But once I realized that I started getting kind of good, I was kind of bigger than some of the other kids. I was like, all right, I can kind of dig this. And then once I hit like 9-10 years old, I was like super into it, watching baseball all the time. And then ever since then, baseball's been my life up until, now and continuing.
Right. And that, I believe you came up in California. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I just call that out because I find that when we talk to artists from California, there's some cultural influence there that really plays a big role in their art eventually. And, I'd be interested to see if you think that's the case with you. And then, so you got involved with NFTs, you had mentioned, after helping out, a few months ago, but during that time while you were, working on baseball, did you also have a parallel path with art where you continued to explore that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've definitely like spent like half of each day working on baseball and half of each day working on art pretty much. And yeah, I think with baseball, I'm like always trying to improve and get better, and I'm working out and I'm doing all this stuff. And that's definitely parallel with my art now that I've realized, and ever since I started, with NFTs, is like I'm just trying to like keep improving, keep getting better, learning new things, keep stepping my game up. So yeah, I guess, that's for sure parallel with baseball.
So when you were a kid and you were in high school, did you have like formal art class training, or were you just experimenting, or?
I think I had one art class my like junior or senior year, just because it was mandatory, but I never voluntarily took it. But I enjoyed it and I was pretty good at it. I didn't ever see myself pursuing something like that just because I was so like was full buying on baseball and kind of like nothing else. So yeah, but I took an art class in senior year of high school, and that was about it. My only, I guess, formal art training.
So that's super cool. You saw the movement and you were like, you know what? I dig this. I dig art. Let me kind of, see what I can do if I dig in here a little bit. And
Totally.
and then next thing you know, you're on Nifty, right? Was that your first drop?
My first drop was Nifty Gateway in July. Yeah, which is crazy now, like looking back at that. Obviously, like where this is all gone and how big they are now. Yeah, that was July, and my pack was $40.
So talk me through this. Like, so you see, you help out with that animation 8 months ago or whatever.
Mhm.
And then you're on Nifty Gateway as the next step. What happens in between there, the kind of evolution to get you on the platform?
Totally. Yeah. So I believe I made these drawings first. I drew them out first. Submitted them to Nifty Gateway, or I DM'd them on Twitter or something. I don't know who I got in touch with, but I sent it to them and I was like, hey, I would love to have a drop with you guys. I think it'd be super fun. I'm a baseball player, all that stuff. And then they responded pretty quick and they were down. And I saw that they had done a couple of pack drops, and I wanted to do a pack drop myself to have it feel like, baseball cards and whatnot. So yeah, so they were down, and then yeah, I think it took like, or yeah, it was like 2 months later in July when we had the drop.
That's super cool. So they kind of saw like, hey, this connection's going to be awesome. People will be excited about it because it's Tommy Wilson, and it has the sports card tie-in. And you also built in, like you said, it's a pack, so there's scarcity involved, just like if you were buying a real pack of cards trying to get a certain player that you want or whatever. And I think this is the Griffey, right? That's the rare.
That's the one of one. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. And what were your expectations when you were going to head on here, being at your first drop?
I had super low expectations. I remember telling my wife, I was like, I'm going to be stoked if I sell like 5 or 6 packs. Like, that'll be cool. It's like a fun experience, And then it sold out in like 5 or 10 minutes, like all of the packs. And I was like super like grateful. And it was so crazy. Like, I really, really couldn't believe it.
And I'm just curious. So like what apps and tools are you using to create these? Because I think this is impressive for anyone that just saw it and was like, let me get involved.
Right.
If I do it, it looks like some tragedy in MS Paint. So yeah, I think you must have some skill set, or you must have been dabbling here, right?
Yeah, so I kind of I'm pretty familiar with all of the like Adobe applications. So in the Adobe Studio, I used Adobe Illustrator, After Effects to animate it. I believe those were the main two for this particular drop. But my particular skill set was in After Effects, and that's what helped me animate them. So just pretty much the whole Adobe Studio is what I've had experience in. So that definitely helped. I kind of already knew how to do that.
Very cool. So the Nifty drop happens, you sell out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you thinking after that?
After that, I was like, man, okay, like what next? I wanted to keep going. I was like, this is super fun. I really enjoyed making the art. So I think during the time of like leading up to my Nifty drop, I actually applied for Super Rare as well. And I got in to Super Rare, and I dropped my first one of one on Super Rare, I think the next week after the next week after the drop on Nifty Gateway. And it kind of just went straight to Super Rare and kept going.
Very cool. And the reception there has been good as well.
Yeah, insanely good, and I'm super, super grateful. And lots of people want to collect my art, so I'm like incredibly grateful. And yeah, it's been incredible.
And obviously you started with the sports pack,
Right.
and it has this aesthetic, kind of like an old time pop culture callback, sort of. Can you talk us through your kind of feelings and approach there?
Totally, yeah. So, let's see. Yeah, it definitely has that pop style with the brighter colors and whatnot. Um, it was actually pretty, I guess, mostly inspired by my dad, who is a painter. He did a whole series of paintings that were had that pop art style, and I thought it was just so sick, and it kind of stuck with me. And I kind of wanted to do something similar, so it's kind of what I was going for. So I'm glad that stuck out.
Very cool. And then, you can see a jump and you kind of changing styles a little bit or
Yeah,
experimenting, and then
dabbling with it.
progressing to, more abstract and more experimental stuff. Can you
Totally.
talk us through like the evolution of, as you're going through this, how that changes?
For sure. So yeah, so I was doing like the 2D stuff, and then eventually I was like, I had heard about this application Blender online, which is a 3D application, and I honestly just wanted to give it a shot because I saw so many artists doing like incredible 3D work, and I was like, wow, this is super cool. I want to do something like that. And yeah, that was the first initial idea that I had to do in 3D, and I couldn't figure out to save my life how to do it. And then I don't know, it took me like 4 or 5 months to figure it out, learning this 3D application, and I finally got it. But yeah, it was really just giving myself a challenge to learn 3D art and really try to get to a point where I could execute some stuff that I was like thinking and brewing in my mind, because I had seen so much cool 3D art on Super Rare and Nifty Gateway. So yeah, it was really just giving myself a challenge, and now I've been doing 3D art for a little while and still going for it.
Very cool. So I'm looking at this BTC piece, and
Yeah,
obviously now you're indoctrinated into crypto
yeah,
and NFT culture.
yeah.
Were you always involved or had some kind of exposure to crypto, or did the NFT space lead you into it?
I mean, I had heard about it, but I had never really done anything about it until I got into crypto art. But for this one specifically, I thought to myself, man, I don't think I'm like a true crypto artist until I make a piece about Bitcoin. So
Right. You've arrived.
yeah, so I feel like that was my like, my entry. I was like, okay, I made an art piece about Bitcoin.
Next thing you know, you'll be one of these NBA players negotiating their contracts for Bitcoin payments and
Right?
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've thought about that. That'd be pretty crazy.
Only they did it at the low point of the market. So
Yeah, that worked out for them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So how has the reception been to your work in the sports world from fellow athletes and people outside of your sphere?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, I wouldn't say that many people know, like just my close friend group, know that I'm doing this art thing, and they think it's super cool. Um, but other than that, honestly, I haven't talked to too many people about it. I know they all follow me on Twitter, so I'm sure they see my tweets every day tweeting about this stuff.
Right.
But I haven't really had a chance to go back yet because our season got canceled. So once I head to spring training this year, I'm sure I'll hear um, lots and lots and lots of questions about it and like what the heck is going on here.
Right. I mean, we're in, obviously Whale is a hub for people for, NFTs and
Totally,
both creators and people interested in the space as collectors or trying to learn to get involved or just even investors. So we hold these clubhouse events. And if you go on I'm sure you've checked out Clubhouse,
for
right?
sure. Yeah,
Like the professional athletes popping in there is ridiculous. So they're
right.
definitely taking notice, and you're going to be one of the pioneers, really,
Yeah,
of the space. You and
it's
Mark Cuban,
crazy.
you and Mark Cuban, I guess, right? But
Right? Yeah,
his is a little low effort for right now.
yeah,
Um,
right. But that's all right. I mean, he's getting into it, so that's all that matters.
yes,
But yeah,
yes.
that's crazy to think for sure.
MC Hammer's in there, a lot of musicians as well. So everyone's taking
Totally,
notice, and you'll be at the forefront. Um, so you really put a focus on this during the COVID shutdown.
totally.
I don't understand the contracts exactly and how they work with with baseball, but
Right.
the secondary market, I'm sure, is a great benefit. Like a lot of musicians and artists are saying, hey, right now we can't tour, So our income stream to, to sustain is it really hurt. And they found this to be something that's worth their efforts, because it doesn't just reward you at the initial onset. Also, as it continues in the secondary market, they start seeing those, commissions add up. So,
Totally.
hopefully this is something that's helped while, miners have been shut down for a bit.
Oh yeah, it's been tremendous. Yeah, I mean, it's been super, super helpful. I haven't played baseball now, and like true like in-season baseball for almost like a year and a half, 2 years now. So it's been incredibly helpful to have a stream of income that I can kind of work on like on my time, so I can still kind of like do my baseball workouts and throwing for the first half of the day, and then like get going on art. It's not like a formal job where I have to be like set these hours and whatnot. So it's been obviously super flexible and a great stream of income. So I'm definitely grateful.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong, but aren't they? They're planning to go to spring training, right?
Yeah, so big league camp is currently in motion actually right now. So barring any changes with that, minor league spring training should be at the beginning of April, hopefully. So hopefully I can get out there soon.
Yeah. They built a new AAA stadium near me, and I think they were targeting April.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that'll be cool.
There you go.
And you're in double or triple right now?
Yeah, so 2019 was the last season I played. I was in AA. So
okay. Well, I'm sure soon you'll be in triple, so I can catch you at the local game at the new stadium.
There you go. Yeah.
Wait. If they allow fans, we don't know that yet.
I know. Yeah, they're having fans at the spring training games, so we'll see.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be cool,
but that certainly, I was gonna say like that's a different environment, less people, but they're all stuffed against a fence. So I don't know. Right. I don't know if that's the safest environment. So how is this? Obviously you've been able to shift a little bit during it, and baseball is a passion of yours, but has this shifted your thoughts towards how you approach art, or is it becoming something of a viable thing you want to continue and focus on?
Yeah, I think it's more shifted my view of baseball. Honestly, I think I feel a little more comfortable honestly now with this with my art. I'm super confident in what I'm doing with this art, and I've made so many incredible connections. I feel definitely less pressure in my baseball career to kind of like make it, but obviously I'm still going to give it my best and everything. It's just given me like almost a feeling of like relief. Okay, like I can kind of just like do my best in baseball, and like if it doesn't work out, like I'm still like I still got this art thing. So it's definitely given me that sense of freedom, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder psychologically if that would affect your performance, right? Like obviously pressure in certain situations can affect people differently. Sometimes
Totally.
Makes them smoke and throw fire, and sometimes it could lead to anxiety, causing other issues. If you have this great career and you're like one of the up and coming premier crypto artists that's getting a big following, maybe who knows. What I'm saying is it may have some tangible positive effect.
100%, yeah.
On what you do. So I'm trying to get this 3D artwork to load, but I wanted to ask you, you're doing this stuff. Some of it looks like it's pretty time intensive. Like it
totally, yeah,
took you weeks or maybe in months to do some of it. How do you find, like, how long does it take you for the process? And then how do you find the right texture and inspiration and whatnot for your piece?
Yeah, that's a good question. They're definitely time intensive, especially my latest work with like the perceptual art kind of stuff. And yeah, I just kind of like the beauty about 3D art is I can kind of like, I'm starting to get to a point where like any ideas that pop into my head, I can kind of just execute. And I kind of just jump in the 3D application and kind of just work on whatever is going through my head at the time. Or my wife is like, oh, this would be she like comes up with a sick idea, and I'm like, okay, let's go for it. So yeah, I mean, I just kind of like whatever pops in my head. I don't really like sit on ideas too much. I kind of just like whenever something comes to me, I just kind of go for it.
So something like this, like how long would that take you to work through the process? Are we talking days, weeks?
Definitely weeks. I would say I want to say 3 weeks on that one to a month probably.
Wow.
Just to place each kind of bullet in the right spot and then line it all up. But that was definitely like a breakthrough piece for me, and I was super super happy with that one.
Yeah, it's incredible seeing how it shifts like that, especially in between. I can't
Right.
imagine the painstaking detail
Yeah.
that it would take, but I
Yeah.
definitely can value it. Um, you talked about ideas just popping in your head. Is there any like art movements or things that get you really inspired? I know some people, it's music that gets them going or may give them a vibe when they're doing their work, or they happen to think of something or memories or anything, or you're just pulling from all your experiences.
Um, yeah, I mean, I listen to music sometimes. Um, I wouldn't say there's anything too specific. I'll watch some like documentaries. I watched a documentary about this piece exactly. I watched a documentary about Damien Hirst, and I was super inspired by his stuff. Um, so I guess I'm just pulling from stuff like memories and experiences and stuff I've watched, pretty much.
Pretty cool. Do you do you see a correlation with sports in any way with your art? Meaning, like, sports is a competitive thing, you're trying to flex your skill level or whatever, or is it like totally separate worlds to you?
I'd say the biggest comparison and how they're similar is like I'm so like addicted to like getting better at both. Like I'm just so hungry to get better at baseball, and I'm like so hungry to get better at art, and I just want to like. I wouldn't say I'm like competitive because like I'm super stoked when one of my friends are making sales and stuff, but I definitely have this like like fire inside me. Like I want to be the best. Like I want to be the best at baseball. I want to be the best at art. So it's definitely, I guess, semi-competitive, but I guess competitive against myself more.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I could definitely see a benefit there to the way you would approach, like, your training, right? You have a very regimented way, that you go through for throwing and making sure you keep certain skills sharp and work on other things. And
Totally.
probably you apply some other methodology like that to your art. So you're like, you got like a Rambo training montage, or, strapping up the headband going on over there when you're working on some of these apps.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, I wanted to talk real quick about your thoughts on scarcity in
Sure.
this movement, because obviously, I think you talked about ripping open packs, right? You as a
Right.
kid probably collected cards. I collected cards.
Absolutely.
That gamification of it plays a big role in this market and what you can accomplish a lot of times. I noticed you had even I think it was the second drop, the championship series drop
Yeah.
that you did, right?
Mhm.
So people could collect and then they could redeem for more players on the team, right? Is
Totally.
that the way it goes? So first, could you talk us through that, and then a little bit about your thoughts on like the scarcity thing and the gamification on NFTs?
Yeah, sure. So that one was individual players, and if you were to collect all five players from one team, you would get like a full team animated version for free if you were fast enough. So that was super fun, and I loved the gamification of that. And let's see, what was the second question? Just my thoughts on scarcity, essentially.
Yeah, scarcity. So like, you rip open packs and you're excited to get the rare, right?
Right,
And some people just like to put open editions, or just put
right,
like one of ones, and that's it.
right,
And there's different philosophies on what's a good market driver, and also for you in growing your value as an artist.
right. Yeah. So totally. Yeah, I think everybody kind of has their own thing. For me personally, I've definitely kept it in mind, working on keeping my stuff, pretty rare. But I think mostly I just I try to use each platform for their strengths. So yeah, it's kind of a tough balance because you definitely can't just be putting out like editions of 100 or open editions every day, every week. Um, so I try to like keep each platform for what they do best. So like for super rare, more recently, I've been doing all my 3D work on super rare because they're very time intensive and they have kind of a special place in my heart because I work so hard on them. And in turn, I like to make them one of ones. And like, I don't know, for some reason, 3D art just seems to be more of a one of one thing to me than an edition piece. And then more recently, if I've done a edition pieces, I'll do them on, I did Nifty for a couple of drops, or I'll do it on Rarible, and it'll be lower editions. And then let's see what else is there. Where else have I dropped? I've dropped on Block Party. I did some one-on-ones there. So overall, I think it's just like keeping a balance and like doing what you want to do. Like it just depends. Like, I mean, you look at like my stuff, I probably have like with super rare, Nifty, and Rarible, I don't know, maybe like 400 pieces of art. And then you look at a guy like, I don't know, like Beeple, I think he's probably got like 800 or 900 out there, but like, like the price of one of his artworks is high because obviously like he's Beeple, he's incredible. So I don't know, I think it's just to each his own, and you kind of got to like, work your way through each platform and, using each platform for their strength. So it's a super tough question, and everybody kind of has their own strategy for it, but that's just kind of mine, I guess, for now.
Right. I got to tell you, this hurts. As a Boston guy looking this.
I know you're a Boston guy. Yeah.
And it's funny because people here, it was pretty split. Like a lot of people are just like, we support Brady, that's our guy. And I'm like a really, I mean, you could probably relate because you're from LA, right? So
right.
Sports culture in certain places is part of, like, you grow up with it embedded in you, right? So 100%. I was a Patriots fan when they absolutely sucked and they were 1-16. That one win was like my Super Bowl. And right. So they're like, oh, root for the player down there and wear a Tampa hat. Like, I can't, sorry guys, I can't do it. It's like watching my ex get married or something. It's just, right. I wish him well, and maybe in like sometime I'll be cool about it. But right now it's a sore spot. I did want to ask you in that vein, in this drop, I don't know if the emphasis was just teams with a lot of championships, right?
Yeah, so it was called the Championship Series.
Okay, because I noticed that you had the Pats, the Lakers, the Bulls, the USA hockey team from the 80s, and not any Celtics. So I don't know if that was a Lakers thing or what.
I heard that from a handful of people. I was like, dang, man, like, that's kind of tough, but I had to I'm an LA guy.
I know, but that makes me appreciate the set even more because I know how authentic the fan aspect of it was. So I just wanted to
raise LA, so I had to.
I appreciate that. I can appreciate the authenticity there.
Absolutely.
One thing I thought was cool, you're getting into some some VR stuff with some of the 3D aspects of it, right? And so what are your thoughts on like the different AR and VR capabilities for NFTs with the smart contracts?
Yeah, I think it's incredible. I'm definitely diving in on this 3D thing. And I've already seen like the applications of like people wanting to put like my sculptures in like Decentraland, stuff like that. And I've displayed my some of my sculptures like in AR. Like I'm like, hey, this is like my most recent sculpture, and I'm like walking around it with my phone, like showing it like in real life, which is pretty sweet. So I've already seen the applications for that, and I'm curious to see where it goes from there. Hopefully places or like the VR worlds like Decentraland and Crypto Voxels and stuff, like the capability at the moment to put in like a high or a bigger file is difficult, but I'm assuming like in the near future you'll be able to put massive files and sculptures in there, so it's going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah, for sure. They, it's awesome what they do, but certainly the technology is advancing, right? And so before you know it, we'll have a lot more realistic and it'll be like those games when I throw on my Oculus and I'm running around scared from zombies instead of shooting them down. I love the Jamaican bobsled team, by the way.
Thank you, appreciate that. That was a fun one. I really like that one.
So with the smart contracts, they're doing a lot of cool stuff where like it can call out to different feeds and change the art and change what's executed. Like, for example, people are doing art where it looks at the local temperature at a certain region and will change the aesthetic from like a sunny day to snowy. They can look at the price of Ethereum or Bitcoin and then reflect a change on there. Some people have talked about things where like the more sales that it has, like it could make it look aged or degraded. And so I think about that and the opportunities for sports related NFTs and collectibles. Definitely. Like if that Brady could get another ring every time it ended up on some API feed, right?
Yeah.
Or every time every season that of the NFL that goes by, they pop another champagne bottle for that undefeated Miami team, whatever. There's a lot of cool things. And I think for certain media, for certain genres, certainly music is one of them. I think sports is another. The fan interactivity can be a huge driver.
Right, for sure.
And I can't imagine if I, not only had to pull a rare whatever when I was collecting cards out of a pack, but also one that interacted as the stats changed. That would blow my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm just planting a little seeds here. I know you're working on the next thing or whatever. Yeah. Maybe you could build the next latest and greatest sports NFT.
Totally. Yeah, I've definitely thought about that, and I've been trying to figure out something to do for that. Like I want to apply to Async because they do some super cool stuff with programmable art and whatnot. And I know at this point in my life, I don't know how to program that myself in the smart contract.
Right.
So I've definitely been thinking, but I want to have like a really, really cool idea before I just go and apply. So I want to have something to execute, but that would be really, really cool. And I dig your ideas for sure.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to have an opportunity to get one before everyone else because I know it'll sell out instantly. So just give me the heads up so I can have my account ready.
I got you.
That'll be what I need.
I'll give you the heads up.
And then also, we got all these. Another thing I'm excited about from the sports perspective is, NFTs can be a little bit daunting to new people, right? The concept of grabbing ETH and put it on MetaMask or whatever. Totally. My buddy who loves box breaks and he's added me to all kinds of Facebooks I have to keep denying because he's trying to sell me, get me in these groups where they're trading cards. He's a person that would be all over this and he just doesn't understand the concept.
Yeah, it's tough.
But he's sending me messages now and saying, hey, what's up with this NBA Top Shot thing, right? So sports may be a bridge for a lot of people to get into this space. And we're already seeing that with Top Shots. I don't know if you've checked them out.
Oh, absolutely. I'm full buy-in on Top Shot.
Oh, nice. But, people could go in with their credit card, right? They don't need to have MetaMask or whatever. And without even understanding the concept, they're involved in the ecosystem and then finding it out afterwards. So I think it's going to onboard so many people for us. And they have a lot of other stuff in the pipeline with UFC. I'm sure the other leagues are not far behind,
Totally. Yeah, no, I'm super bought in and I'm really excited about what they're doing over there. And yeah, I think it'll onboard a lot of people and I think people will be hungry to learn more. So hopefully some people will see what's going on with digital art and more NFTs and be like, okay, like let's actually figure out how to do this thing, sign up for MetaMask, whatever. But yeah, for the time being, like being able to pay with credit card or debit card is huge. And they're doing a lot of cool stuff for this, movement. So
yeah, and I'll tell you right now, it's already happening.
Totally.
So we have a fantasy league for Top Shot. Mm-hmm. So we have a currency whale. We give out $1,000 worth of whale a week in prizes for the fantasy league for the top 10 finishers. Cool. And so all people need to do is just have a minor role on our server. I think you have to hold 16 whale or something and they can participate. So people wanted to get involved in the fantasy league. They were already in Top Shots. They grabbed the MetaMask and grabbed the whale so they could do it. And now they're asking us questions all the time on the server. Like, hey, how do I grab this piece of art? How do I understand that? So it's happening. We are right there.
That's cool. I like that idea.
Now, if I see myself get down in a standing because Tommy Wilson's above, I'm going to hate having shared that with you. But we do have a fantasy league.
Because if I do get in on something, I will be competitive.
I know. I know. I'm going to stop dropping alpha in here for that.
Right.
For sure. Yeah. So speaking of that, you talked about stuff that you're working on next. What are some projects you're currently working on?
For sure. Yeah, I'm definitely doing some more 3D work. I'm really excited about where I'm going with 3D. I think I've got some stuff that's kind of like really put me on the map, I think, for 3D. And I've got a couple collaborations coming up. I'm really excited about that. And let's see, I've got I've got a drop planned for opening day. So I'm also really excited about that. So pretty good amount of stuff going on, and I'm excited about all of it, and I'm super busy, so I cannot complain.
Okay, that's very cool. Any scoop we can get on the opening day drop?
Yeah, it's baseball, baseball oriented for sure. April 1st opening day. Some of the best in the league will be involved, and I think it'll be my first. I'm going to be combining my 2D and 3D work for this one, so I'm super excited about it.
Very cool.
And it'll be similar. I've done a couple drops on Rarible before, where just through my Twitter, I said like, okay, I'm putting out 10 editions. One of the editions will have a 1-of-1 attached to it. That was like the printing plate you were just looking at. So I'm going to be doing something similar to that as well. So I'm excited about it.
Awesome. Do we know the platform, or is that still hush hush as well?
That's kind of up in the air. So
Okay.
I don't know. I can't talk about it too much, but I know Block Party is releasing like a big new like revamped website here in the near future, and I know the people really well over there. So I might release it there because I've seen their new website design and what it looks like coming up here pretty shortly. So I'm leaning towards that. If they're ready to go by April 1st, that would be cool. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited about that. Now I'm going to try to be on the ready. So make sure I have my account and I'm all set up.
Totally. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, everybody's going to have to check that out. They're doing some really cool stuff because they've been kind of under the radar for a while. They had a few drops a few months ago, and they've been working really, really hard to really put out like a really solid website and user interface and everything. So from what I've seen, it's really, really cool. So I'm excited.
Awesome. I pulled this up and left it up because one is really cool, but number two, you mentioned your collaborations. This was a collab,
Totally.
Correct?
Yeah, collab with Carlos Marcial. Yeah.
Okay. How'd that come about?
Yeah, so super early on. Well, yeah, my first Nifty Gateway drop was alongside Carlos. So we kind of started a friendship ever since then, just through Twitter DMs and whatnot. And we had chatted like every once in a while about a collaboration. And he came up with this idea. He was like, "Why don't you make like a 2D wrap, and I'll model a baseball bat, and we'll just and I'll wrap your art on the baseball bat." And I was like, "Okay, that's super cool. I'm down." And I'm a big fan of Carlos and his art, so I was like, "Wow, this is like an incredible opportunity." So we made it happen, and we put it out. And then after we put it out, Carlos was like, "Why don't we like make a physical version?" And I was like, "Okay, like I guess we can figure out how to do that." So I just took a baseball bat, a real maple baseball bat, and I got it wrapped in my art. So now I still have the bat, and it's in my possession for now until somebody wants to go pick it up on Super Rare. But for the time being, I'm happy to keep displaying it in my house.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any other collaborations in the works?
Yeah, so my next drop will be a collaboration, which is actually coming up next week. So I don't know if I can drop who I'm collabing with at the moment, but I'm really excited about it. It's going to be really, really sick. So that should be about next week. Not really sure, beginning, end of next week, sometime. So
okay, so we got to stay glued to Twitter, is what you're telling us.
Yeah, it'll be on Twitter, but it'll be going up on Super Rare. So
okay, yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah.
So now that you've kind of got your legs under you, you've started to get some great momentum here.
Sure.
You're doing great work. Where do you see your work progressing over the next few years?
Yeah, good question. I definitely just want to keep getting better at this 3D art. I want to get like really, really good at it. I don't know where that's going to take me. as far as crypto art and NFTs go. But I'm just enjoying myself, and if I can also have a stream of income, then like that's awesome too. But for the most part, I just want to keep like improving my 3D art, getting better at this thing, and just enjoying it. So yeah.
I got to keep highlighting my teams while we talk, just to rub it in for some people. I definitely think you'll be here and be a prominent voice for quite some time with the stuff that you're doing. So you've kind of taken this journey without having much of a background in it, and it's been very inviting, and for the most part, the community's been welcoming. Would you say?
I'm incredibly welcoming. Yeah, I mean, the amount of artists I've connected with and collectors I've connected with is insane, and everybody's so nice. And I wasn't expecting that at first at all. I was like, man, I don't want to like step on anybody's toes, like being this baseball player. Like, I don't want people to think I'm doing this for like cash grab or whatever. Like, I'm actually super into this art, and like I really want to get better at it. So yeah, it's been incredibly welcoming, and I've made some incredible friends that I haven't even, I guess, had a chance to meet yet. But yeah, it's been really, really cool.
Random aside, have you ever met David Ortiz?
I have not met David Ortiz.
I've met him a couple. Hilarious dude. One of the funniest guys I've ever met in my life.
He seems incredible.
He's so funny.
Yeah.
He's 100% the personality he puts out there.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
So I'm glad to hear everyone was so inviting, and everyone continues to be supportive. What would be some advice you would give to other new artists coming into the space, or people interested in kind of jumping in?
For sure. It's definitely, I think, more intimidating now to jump in than when I did, just because of how fast everything moves. So I would say to try and connect with people as much as you can on Twitter, Discord, whatever. Connecting with artists, connecting with collectors, just chatting with people, picking their brain, and then just focusing on your art. Don't focus on like sales and whatnot. Like you got to control what you can control. Like, you're going to see people, the biggest name artists selling for big bucks, and you can't just expect to like jump out there and start selling for like crazy amounts of money. So don't focus on sales, like focus on making something that you love. And that's kind of what's worked out for me. I just make art that I really enjoy and that I really like. And that ends up working out the best. So I think that's, the best advice I can give.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. I think it's important for people to remember that people also buy art because of the artist behind it. So you have to spend some time getting yourself out there and being communicative, unless that's your angle to be so abstract that no one knows anything, right? You build a mystique, but there has to be something with the artist that pulls people in as well, because anyone can duplicate, a lot of people can create, but sharing of yourself is half of what people invest in.
Totally. And that's kind of what's worked out for me, is just sharing my story and sharing about my baseball career, and kind of just sharing who I am on Twitter and with these different platforms and stuff. So yeah, definitely agree.
Now these were the redemptions, right? Were all of these redeemed?
All but two. So two of the Red Sox teams have not been redeemed yet.
Okay.
But I think you'd be hard pressed to get a hand on those, because I think one person got like 3 or 4 of the Manny Ramirez, and they have not put any of them up for sale. They just held on to them since.
Oh. You know who that is? That's Manny being Manny.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. He's out there in the monster hoarding NFTs.
Exactly.
In that same vein, what would be some advice you would give to artists as things they should not do, and things they should not, the mistakes they should avoid?
Sure. I think I see a lot of people like forcing their art on people. So like, when I say like connect with collectors and artists, like just connect like chatting and talking about life and whatnot. Don't just like take your latest art piece and just DM it to everybody, everybody in your DMs and whatnot. Like don't just like shove your art at people, or shove your art at collectors, or like if somebody like posts a Twitter, or posts a tweet like, oh, I just made like a sale, I'm super stoked about it, and I'll see some responses where people are like sending their art. They're like, oh, check me out, maybe buy my art. And I'm like, man, that's like, come on, like, just like respond and like be supportive of their sale. Like, it's not like they're gonna just, you know, jump out and grab your art. I mean, maybe they will, but I don't know. I've seen that as I'm not too big a fan of that, and I think it's not very hasn't been very successful for a lot of people. Just kind of like forcing your art on people. So you got to just kind of like make your art, make what you love, and just kind of let it happen naturally.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. We've had some of the biggest collectors in the space come on and talk to us about their perspective from, you know, curating collectors. And they said, you know what, artists also need to take care to curate, you know, who they're selling to and who's going to be major collectors of their art and who they have relationships with, because at the end of the day, that matters as well. So I think your point about being genuine with your interactions is important. And that ties back to, you know, sharing of yourself, right? If you seem fake, then, you know, it kind of devalues what you're offering out there, probably.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100% agree.
You know, the space itself can be a little obtuse, and certainly you're in almost 1 year now. What do you think are some issues that, you know, crypto art in general needs to work on and continue to get better with?
Yeah, let's see. I think more recently, you're seeing a lot of big name people getting into the space. Mark Cuban, Gary Vee, certain celebrities, and I think I mean, it's hard to say because they can do whatever they want. They can post NFTs, they can do whatever, but I think it's what am I trying to say here? It's like difficult to find out like who's in it for the art and who's just trying to make like a quick buck or more than a buck. So I think that as for crypto art, I guess more than NFTs can be more than just art. For crypto art, I think it's just focusing on the art rather than like just who it is or you know, I don't know if that makes sense, but I think just like focusing on the art as we get a lot of big name people coming in, if that makes sense. Like just making sure we're, you know, buying what you love and what you enjoy, like artistically. But obviously, like if you want to be a part of something, like that's cool too. Like when Mark Cuban releases an NFT, like I totally understand. Like that's super cool. You want to be a part of that. So I think it's like a fine line between the art and like what's just kind of going out there as like a cash grab. So it's difficult to determine, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great call out, especially now, right? Because we're at the precipice of a big explosion, you know, despite all the money and all the discussion happening right now, you know, my buddies aren't involved in NFTs yet. They don't know what's going on. That's still to come. And so there'll be a lot of stuff flooding the market, like you said, that probably doesn't have a lot of inherent value and maybe won't pan out. So you have to have a strategy. Whale Shark, our founder, definitely has, you know, an ethos for his investment. And also like you said, if you take care to actually purchase stuff that you genuinely enjoy and believe in, then that has value to you regardless. So you gotta, you know, like you said, be wary that there'll be a lot of people coming in just trying to make money in the space, and look for authenticity.
Totally. Yeah, you gotta like and I've done some collecting myself. And honestly, like it's the most rewarding, just like collecting anything. Like you can't just, you know, go in like on a flip. Like, yeah, maybe you'll make a little bit like a quick buck, but like you don't want to get stuck with something you don't like if you're still like flipping or whatnot. So I've just collected things I really like, and I enjoy, you know, collecting them for what they are and for who the artist is. So it's, you know, that's kind of the mentality I feel like is what's going to be most rewarding. And now some of the pieces I own are worth, you know, a pretty good amount of money. So it's like, you know, but I just enjoy it. So I think that's the best mentality to go in with for collecting, I think.
Right. Like yesterday, I had to grab a Giannis for my fantasy league, and it's down 25%, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, because it's Giannis. That's great. Like that's sick.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned your own collection. I wasn't able to find it in OpenSea because maybe you're trying to, keep it low key, or maybe I just wasn't good at searching.
I think most of my collection is in Nifty Gateway. So if you go to my Nifty Gateway profile, you can probably check out my collection there.
Okay.
I'm pretty proud of it at the moment.
And while I try to navigate there,
Sure.
could you tell me what is your favorite NFT or one of your favorites that you own?
That I own. Okay, well, let's see if we can go through here. I think I do own one of my own, which is great. I'm a big fan. Somebody was selling for cheap, had to pick it up. Okay, if you scroll down, I think my favorite one is I Am a Jedi from Boss Logic, for sure. I love that one.
Awesome.
And I mean, I put that on the top, but like I also have if you scroll down a little further, the Carlos Marcial Serpent God. I really like that one as well. Big fan of that one. That was from the drop that we shared back in July, so that one is super cool too.
Awesome.
And then the information pamphlet from Gavin Shapiro, that was a fun one. I don't know if you saw that one, but he put out like a photo or like a teaser about his drop with Nifty Gateway, and like there was a little QR code, and if you scanned it, it took you to a buy page, and it was like 50 cents for this like information pamphlet. So that was a fun one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
This makes me want to get a Revan piece. I don't know if you're a big Star Wars guy, but it makes me want to get the Dark Jedi, the Gray Jedi.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. And you grabbed the shoe drop, huh?
I had to, man. I mean, those are sick. Like, I was so stoked when Ferocious put out like that every open edition was coming with a physical, because I'm like so stoked. Like, I got to be rocking those like when I walk into the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm like super stoked on those.
I don't know if I'd ever actually wear them, but I would definitely be.
I know that's what I'm like thinking about, like, because I've still got a little bit till I get those, but like I'm like, am I gonna wear those or am I gonna keep them in the box? Like, I don't know, but they're super cool, so I had to grab a pair.
Right, for sure. And I also saw you retweet a tweet from your dad's. Your dad's dropping his. You referenced his paintings before, and I assume that's what he's making into NFTs now.
Right.
Did you get him involved in the scene, or?
Yeah, so he's been painting his whole life, and if you scroll up a little bit, I think you can find his super rare. Yeah, that one. So he's been painting his whole life, and I was like, Dad, like, you got to get into this NFT space. Like, your paintings are super cool. You can get them animated. So yeah, I think he's posted 4 or 5 pieces now on super rare. And yeah, I'm a big fan, and I think it's super cool, and I'm glad that he's gotten into it, and they're all his original paintings, so I think it's super sick.
And what does he think of it, coming from a Hollywood perspective, or a little bit of a different background?
For sure. I mean, he digs it. I think he's pretty bought in. He definitely sees like the future in it, in digital collectibles, now with like the younger crowd and whatnot. So he's a fan, and he's like, he's happy to be a part of this, art movement that's kind of going on. So I think it's super cool.
That's very cool that you brought your dad in. I wanted to make sure we cover any questions from the audience here.
Sure.
So we touched on this a little bit. Someone asked, do you think you go back to full-time in sports after this new experience? And
yeah, I mean, I'll definitely go back to full-time coming up here pretty shortly, but I definitely won't stop doing art. I think it'll definitely get a little difficult to make as much art as I'm making right now. It'll be interesting to see how that balance is, but I'll definitely be full-time playing baseball. So but I won't stop my art. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, and that could have a positive effect, right? More scarcity and more anticipation for when you do put out stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even if there's a tie-in, like, hey, this was made while I was, playing the season or whatever, I can see a lot of tangible benefit to it, even if you had time. I don't know what goes on afterwards. It seems like that's, professional sports is is definitely glamorized, but I'm sure it's a grind, especially in baseball.
Yeah, it's a grind, especially in the minor leagues and working your way up. It's definitely not the most pretty, you know, uptick. So, but it's all good, and I'm super lucky to be able to get paid to play baseball. So it's all good.
Someone asked, and I think you touched on this about not many people being aware. So maybe this is more of what we anticipate it would be. But someone asked, art is often perceived as a delicate medium, and professional sports is sometimes associated with a lot of machismo and machoism in the locker room. What do you anticipate? Because I don't think you said many people know. What do you anticipate the sentiment being in the reception from other people, other athletes, to you being an artist?
Honestly, I think most of the guys are pretty pretty cool about it, pretty chill. I'm trying to think, yeah, because I haven't really been around the guys all that much. But I mean, I've had a really good reception from guys texting me and whatnot. So I think it'll be like as you get higher up the levels, everybody's kind of an adult and like doing their own thing and making ends meet for their family and stuff. So I think it'll be pretty chill, honestly. So we'll see, though. I don't know.
I mean, I'm guessing. I'm obviously not an athlete. I'm not even pretty enough to have my cam on at the moment. But I think that there's a lot of positive sentiment around entrepreneurial things and things that are really progressive in that way. Being at the head of crypto or business ventures or whatever. I mean, heading into the All-Star game, Jason Tatum, who's one of our star basketball players on the Celtics right now, was going on and on about how excited he is that he has his own Lay's chip, right? So, I'm pretty sure being at the forefront of NFTs when it's exploding and, interest and sentiment is probably going to be received well.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree.
I mean, it is a tasty chip. I've tried it, but I think they asked him about expanding his horizon and trying new things, and he tried to tie it back to his endorsement of Lay's, but
my gosh,
it just made it sound like, tell us about all this interesting stuff. He's like, yeah, I love trying new things. I have a chip, and we're here like, oh my goodness, but go get that money, Jason. Go get that money.
Funny. Yeah, absolutely, huh? That's great.
Oh, well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Anything else you want to make sure people remember and keep top of mind for your new stuff?
Nothing in particular. Maybe, go follow me on Twitter or Super Rare to keep up with my stuff. I'm always posting updates and whatnot. But yeah, I appreciate you having me. Appreciate everybody who's listening. It's been fun.
Awesome, Tommy. Well, we will be watching your Twitter and anticipating that drop next week, and also the super cool one coming down the pipeline. So thanks for joining us, and maybe we'll have you back sometime when you get some of those AR and VR stuff going.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming on. Have a good one.
All right, man.